I'm sure that everyone is at least familiar with the term ballet. And if you aren't, I have many questions for you. After all, nearly 3.5 million children in America do ballet. Well, when you hear the word ballet, what's the first thing that comes to mind? According to the Oxford Dictionary, ballet is an artistic dance form performed to music, using precise and highly formalized set steps and gestures. Now, call me a mind reader, but I bet most people think more of the pretty pink tutus than any precise or formalized gestures. In reality, most ballerinas don't regularly wear pink tutus. And the ones that do are usually in preschool or first grade. According to pinktutu.com, the tutu worn by these children can signify innocence, purity, and youth. This pink tutu of innocence doesn't last forever, though. The children's innocence will fade, and they'll begin to wear something other than the pink tutu. Something like the flowy, romantic tutus in the ballet Giselle. Giselle, you know, the tragic, heart-wrenching ballet about love, betrayal, and spirits. Want to hear more? And even if you don't and couldn't care less, I'm glad you asked, because that's what I'll be talking about today. Giselle first premiered on June 18, 1841, in the Théâtre de l'Académie Musique de Royal, and was choreographed by Jean Corali and Jules Parrot. They were inspired by a poem about dancing ghosts and decided to make a ballet about these spirits. Although it might sound crazy at first, Giselle actually has a lot of very important real-world reflections, making it valuable for us to study in order to better ourselves and help those around us. Today, I'll further familiarize you with the plot of Giselle, then leap into the dancing and what's really being shown, which we can then turn back on society and see how Giselle really reflects our world today. First things first, let me give you a quick rundown of the plot. The story all starts with a girl, Giselle. She's young, beautiful, innocent, a talented and passionate dancer, everything your average social media influencer claims to be. Giselle, however, is different from these influencers. She is very poor. Her poverty brings her hardships, but she's able to get through them with the help of her kind, dedicated, but very innocent heart. Her heart rightfully guides her through life. That is, until her heart misleads her to Royce. You see, Royce's real name is Albrecht, and he is actually the Duke of Silesia, a region in modern-day Poland, in disguise. He is also secretly engaged to Bathilde, another royal figure at the time. Despite his current engagement, he still actively flirts with Giselle, which, may I point out, is a major red flag. Hilarion, another man, is also in love with Giselle. Obviously, something is about to go down. And, unfortunately, that just so happens to be Giselle's sanity. Hilarion tells Giselle that Albrecht is hiding an engagement, and Giselle is driven so mad that she stabs herself in a fury of desperation and despair. Giselle experienced various extreme emotions, but surprisingly, anger was not one of them. Despite the suffering he caused her, Giselle was never angry at Albrecht. When Giselle dies, she becomes a willy, a spirit that forces men to dance until they die. Mirtha, who now, since she is the queen of the willies, forces Giselle to kill Albrecht. Giselle, however, refuses, not letting her dedication and love towards Albrecht waver, even after everything that's happened. Giselle and Mirtha face off, and Giselle is able to save Albrecht through the help of her dedicated and kind, but unfortunately too weak, heart. The ballet ends with Albrecht mourning the loss of Giselle and praying for God to forgive his fault. Obviously, Giselle is an extremely emotional ballet, and it's also very popular. I myself, as a ballerina, have performed countless excerpts from Giselle and have watched even more. Giselle was actually popular as soon as its debut, with people all over France in the 1830s anticipating its premiere, and news outlets giving all the latest reports on it. It has been described as the epitome of grace and synchronization, much like Swan Lake has, by ballerinas across the world. It also has a very unique mad scene, which depicts Giselle losing her sanity after becoming heartbroken. The Australian Ballet Company even questions this as being the most poignant moment in any ballet. The directors of Giselle actually choreographed it to reflect the state of France at the time, as the French Revolution had just passed and the arts were starting to thrive again. This explains why the directors chose for Giselle to have such a passion for dance. Giselle also reflects the classism in the period through its choreographed formations. If you ever watch the ballet, you'll witness the people of higher class and those of lower class stand on opposite sides of the stage. Classism was a very prominent issue at the time, so it makes sense why it would be reflected in Giselle. Like I said earlier, although it might sound crazy at first, Giselle is actually pretty realistic. Well, besides the whole dancing ghost thing. I mean, at its core, Giselle is about an innocent young girl who falls in love, gets deceived, loses her innocence and life and passion as a result, even though none of it was really her fault. Sounds more familiar now, right? Like I said, Giselle was created in part to reflect France at the time, so it makes sense why it would mimic what every young girl goes through, the premature stripping of her innocence. Giselle is an exaggeration, of course, but it is still a representation of how society treats younger girls. One of the most prominent ideas in Giselle is how her innocence, in following it, her passion and joy for life, fades throughout the ballet. Innocence can have multiple interpretations, but in the context of the speech, it is a purity from corruption, a feeling of a secure and reliable self and world, and a happy illusion of society. Now, why does Giselle's innocence fade? Well, you could argue it was a result of multiple different things, but ultimately, a being of higher social and economic status takes it from her. The reflection of this in our world, however, may not be a royal figure from some European city. Nearly 30% of girls admit to being bullied by a boy. It may not even be a boy. It could be a societal factor instituted by the higher class. Nearly 41% of women feel extreme pressure to live up to society's beauty standards and will more than likely sacrifice their innocence and individuality to align with them. In some way or another, every girl's innocence is prematurely stripped from her as she grows up. This could be from the media and fashion companies, which 75% of women say promote unhealthy body images. More violently, this could be from the rapes 1 in every 9 women under the age of 18 experience. Conversely, this could be a more slight but constant pull, such as a pressure to be successful. 74% of women feel placed on them by a being of higher social or economic status, maybe even someone they know. The truth is clear. Every girl experiences the same pulling at their innocence prematurely as they grow up. Unfortunately, the story of Giselle can be just as tragic in real life, with a staggering 30% of adolescent women seriously considering suicide. However, all hope might not be lost for the next generation of women. One of my friends, a fellow ballerina, suffered from the same pressure to succeed I mentioned earlier. She became unmotivated and less passionate about ballet, which caused her to lose her innocence. However, all hope was not lost, and help arrived in the form of an older and supportive friend. This friend helped her regain her passion and motivation towards ballet, also helping her regain part of her innocence, too. When in a ballet, what stands out the most are the leads, but what really helps the story go on are the ballet corps, essentially the background dancers, for those of you unfamiliar with ballet terminology. The ballet corps support the lead. This support, although not from a ballet corps, is what helps girls regain their innocence. Now, although the tradition is fading, girls are helping girls worldwide regain part of their innocence. According to the Women's Network, America's largest collegiate network, from sharing lip gloss to meaningful advice, these girls are truly making the most genuine impact on the next generation of women. These girls can help children still wearing the pink tutu wear it for as long as they'd like. They can help girls who already lost their pink tutu regain it. Although Giselle never got a happy ending, the girls today still have a chance to write their own story and end it with happily ever after.